Welcome to another episode. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. We do appreciate our last video hit over 500 views.
That's a big deal for us. I know, right? That's huge.
So for all of you who watched, thank you.
Yep, deeply appreciate it.
Today, I guess we're going to give you guys our 90-day update.
Yeah, let's do 90 days. I mean, both of us, today is like officially your 90 day. My 90-day passed like 2-3 days ago.
Yep.
So let's talk about the interesting changes, challenges. I mean, I think it's been really, really, really interesting. Like one of the most interesting experiences I've ever done.
Definitely.
And yeah, so anyways, let's dive into it. I'm going to ask you a question then. Like, after 90 days, of this grueling, hardcore diet, are your kidneys okay?
My kidneys appear to be fine.
Right?
Yeah.
Fatty liver?
Doubtful.
No. Arteries clogged with the cholesterol?
I haven't gotten a test to officially know or like an ultrasound, but
Probably not.
probably not.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so other than goofing around, how is your 90 days?
So my 90 days has been easier overall than I expected. And I went into this concerned with things like bathroom habits, what was going to happen. I was worried about the digestion. Was this going to be painful in that respect? I thought about, having, because I've done like a really low carb thing before and just hit a wall where like I couldn't hardly function, like brain lethargy. And when I say I can't function, I mean like it just like I could barely think. And I was really worried that I was going to find myself in a spot where I wouldn't have any energy, or, I'd feel really tired, or I wouldn't be able to concentrate. And it's all been quite good. I haven't really experienced, I've heard some people talk about preliminary negative effects in the beginning while your body gets used to it. I, knock on some wood, did not really go through any of those strange things. I don't know if I was just in a position where I was ready to do this, because I was coming into the carnivore diet on a pretty calorie restricted regimen. And so, maybe my body was primed in a way, ready to accept a.
Oh, some like actually positive calories.
Yeah, right. So it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. That's
What are the that's a good question, because I also have that, like, where there's really good stuff and then there's not so good stuff.
Right.
So let's cover that. Let's cover those two topics, because I'm in the same boat as you, where I expected something different than what actually happened.
right.
Like, where I thought I was going to struggle this 90 days. And at the beginning, I was like, 90 days, that's a long ass time to do this. But honestly, it wasn't nothing like I thought it was going to be. So let's start with the bad stuff. So you go first. I'll follow you.
Some of the negative effects.
Yeah, negative effects.
I think the negative effects, the strangest thing, the negative effects stem from social.
Ha ha ha. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to name names or whatever,
Just overall social.
But I have found two particular things that are difficult. So one is going out to eat with other people. I don't have a problem. I can order hamburger patties and eggs and have. That's
Call it a
okay.
day.
But it seems like everybody else around me doesn't like it. It's strange. Like, makes everybody else feel weird.
I'm going to 100% agree with you, because I have the same exact situation. It's any sort of parties, like family events, gatherings like that. And yeah, when you go out to eat, not only just the people that are here, let's say you go with a work group or something, a few colleagues. Yeah, they all start asking questions and why you're so strange, in a way. And then also ordering, I also found that quite difficult because sometimes they don't have anything. Like I went to a small cafe and they're supposed to have scrambled eggs and like maybe bacon, and they didn't have that on the menu. They had to like ask their cook in the back if he could make some. It was like really difficult in some of these places for their mind to wrap around. Why aren't you we're just ordering from the menu that we have, and why do we have to kind of make something for you?
Right.
Or like lots of places didn't have butter. Like they just didn't have butter.
Yeah.
Other places didn't have like actual real eggs. They just had carton stuff, things like that. It was very interesting.
It's eye opening in a way when you, I guess maybe if you did this, even a vegan or even whatever, you go into a restaurant and it's like, I need something that's completely vegan, and they're like, oh, everything's got like animal product in it. It's very eye opening whenever you do something in the, I guess what you might consider extreme world, and then you start to realize all the stuff that's actually in these places where you go to eat. You're just like, oh, I'll have some scrambled eggs, and it's like, you think.
Yeah, right. What are the ingredients?
Yeah.
In there, it's kind of like you're saying extreme, like because supposedly this carnivore diet is called, or looked at extreme, but it's like this. Imagine everybody is hitting themselves in the head with a little hammer and going tap, 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 tap. And then you're like, hey, if you stop hitting yourself with the hammer, it doesn't hurt and you feel so much better. And they're like, you're extreme. It's kind of an extreme
But
example,
everybody does it.
yeah, but everybody does it. Yeah. Tap, tap, tap. Anyways, okay. So social effects. I'm having the same thing. What else? Is there anything else negative?
So on the same vein of social, it, in and I'll only go into this briefly, but like in my marriage, something that is sort of challenging is, like dinner time traditionally is a time of almost like bonding.
Sure.
We cook together, we eat together.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so there's been a strange disconnect in that, where this is actually something I really don't like personally, is I kind of miss the making stuff together and eating stuff together.
Yeah, I think that's a huge bonding thing overall. I totally agree with you.
So, and it's not that I'm right or she's right, or, she's not really giving me any stress over that part, but I miss it. I miss,
sure, absolutely. I could see that. Yeah. Because I can't really relate to it a little bit because I just live with two grown not grown, but kids that could take care of themselves. They could make their own food and stuff. So I don't have that anymore, really.
Right.
But I could when you get together with family, let's say family, and I enjoy the preparing the food, getting all ready together, and when everybody's making some sort of salads or some little bread sandwiches, they're all doing stuff, and I'm just there with my steak.
So interesting for me is that I have found the best success when I invite people to the home, and then I can prepare stuff for actually a larger group. And I'm actually more capable of creating a unified environment for like when my son and his wife and my grandchild come over, right? And so it's like it's easier for me to create a unified experience around dinner for the bigger group than it is just me and my wife, because she doesn't want me to, prepare a bunch of stuff just for her.
Sure.
And then I have my stuff too. So it's like because we're just one and one.
I see. Yeah,
You
yeah.
see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's when I'm actually making food for everybody, which I still do, it's actually easier for me to be more of an included part of the whole experience.
So okay, let's not like go too much into the rabbit hole because social aspects, honestly, I would agree probably the biggest downside or negative effect of this carnivore eat, type of diet. So other than that, because that's so far it's all been kind of social. And there any physical negative effects, financial negative effects?
Financial, no, that's kind of the like, I thought at first before going into this that it was going to cost more. Then I did some math, and that was kind of the final straw. That was a personal conversation you and I had where once I figured out that I was actually going to save around 50% of my own personal food budget by doing this, it was like, okay, so I can do this and save money.
Because
Okay.
I hear this all the time is, isn't it get really expensive? Like, oh, I can't afford it. Like, it's too expensive. So yeah, that was kind of a
Right.
thing where, at first I'm like, man, I don't know if I could afford this. But no, it's actually cheaper because it's very limited in what you buy. You really don't throw away anything. So yeah, I haven't had any financial issues. I haven't had any, what was my other thing? I said financial and the negative effects. I don't remember. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of I'm there done with the negative part because that's the only negative.
Oh, you asked about the body.
Oh yeah, yeah. Any negative effects on the body?
There was the there was a brief period of time early on, and I have a journal, so I've been trying to keep track of these things, where I did get a strange amount of just thirst. I was just really thirsty all the time.
That's right. I remember that kind of the
Yeah,
beginning.
and I bought an electrolyte powder. Maybe we'll leave the link to it below. I
Sure.
don't know.
Yeah. Let's do that.
But it's marketed as like keto friendly. I liked it because it had nothing in it but electrolytes, and it was high on the potassium side. So
So I mean, I could relate because I also had some physical issue. But here's the thing: that issue that you're having and the issue I had was kind of like a transition, kind of like a temporary as our body transitioned into this new way of eating, this new nutrition that we're giving it. Because I had like the first 2 weeks were pretty tough. Like I literally had that keto flu. I felt sick almost. And I've done fasts. I've done 2 week fasts multiple times. I think I've done them 3 times, and I've never had that. So I thought it was really strange. But again, that was a thing. I knew people talked about it. I'm like, I guess this is it. And once that was gone, okay, I had no other physical effects,
right.
negative effects on that.
No, the complaints. It's kind of funny. Like before you got here, I had to cut my nails again.
Okay, so you
Yeah,
could, that's a
negative
negative
effect
effect.
is
The nails grow too
I
fast,
I am sick and tired of having to cut my fingernails.
right?
Um,
I think my hair's starting to grow faster too, man.
I wonder. I don't. My hair over the years started to grow pretty slow. So if it sped up, then great.
Okay, okay.
But no. I mean, how? Because there is one negative effect, but it's like super ultra personal.
You mean like bowel movements?
If there's anything that I really don't like is that the cleanup afterwards is messier.
Oh. Honestly, I've heard the opposite. I don't know, like, because maybe it takes some time to adapt. Okay, I mean, sure.
I don't know.
I think it's such a minor thing
yeah.
because it's not like you're hurting yourself. You're not doing damage to yourself. So I don't think it's really even considered a negative effect.
So
Because, like, when speaking of bowel movements, like, it's kind of weird for me to go once a week now.
Okay, and it's weird for me to go roughly like 6.5 times a week.
Well, that's just shows you how different we are.
Right, but my normal was 2 to 4 a day.
That's mind blowing to me because I would be like maybe 4 times a week
Right.
normally, 5 times a week maybe.
So that is a you know because I'm guessing we're going to start transitioning to positives now.
Absolutely.
Okay. So time. Let's just talk about how much time this has saved me.
Okay, so hold on. So positives. Okay, we're done with the negatives. There's not really many. Honestly, there's nothing that's scary or the only thing is social. If somebody's afraid of social, but I don't care really about that because being healthy and feeling this good, I could care less about any of the social side effects because social side effects are really made up. They're just kind of like things people create just to have problems more than anything, right?
Yep.
So, anyways, positive. So positive things. Because there's like the reason we're doing this is to feel better, to be healthy, right? Because our ultimate goal is to get to our bodies to be in the state of health, which is their natural state, right?
Yep.
You give your body the proper nutrition, it reverts to healthy. So go ahead, start off. What is like the first thing you could think of the biggest benefit from this?
Right. I'm going with time. So I mean,
It's
I
not
got
the biggest
no.
benefit,
Okay,
but
so
it's a huge benefit.
The biggest one. You're right. That wasn't. It wasn't the biggest one. It was the one that was closest to the front of my mind. The biggest one, by far, by like 75%. Like I would take this and run if it was the only thing, and that is the loss of all of my anxiety. After
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
case this is your first time tuning in or haven't talked about this in the past, after COVID especially, but in the past, always had a little bit of ups and downs with anxiety. After COVID, had it a few times, and there was this just incredible level of anxiety that my body just stayed on. Just always on, just high anxiety.
Well, let me ask you a question because to me, it seems like you would get used to that and that'd just be normal. How do you know it's gone? And not how do you know it's gone, but how do you know you always had it versus like now?
Well, that's a good question.
Because that's such a like
but
internal
this is
feeling.
this is how I can explain it, right? You love your children.
Okay.
How do you know you feel that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay,
Okay.
so-
Yeah.
What my mind is more calm. I'm able to concentrate much better at work. I'm able to multitask so much better. The effect of things that actually happen in real life that should stress you out do stress me out, but to a way lesser extent, like to a proper amount of stress to let you know that you have something you need to deal with.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But as far as literally sitting on high alert anxiety all day, every day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, it just evaporated. And when it transitions that quick, it's
Well,
like,
that's you could feel the effect. Yeah, absolutely.
right.
Makes sense.
Because I didn't just like lose it over the whole 90 days. It literally evaporated like the first week. Poof.
Fascinating because I kind of relate. It's not anxiety. I really didn't have that issue. It was more of kind of up and down mood swing. Not even mood swing. Not like when you're getting angry or sleepy. Just like kind of more even. Like your mood would be more even. Like clearer. Like there's no ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's just overall just kind of steady.
Right. And my experience to that effect, my wife and I, we even have a rule built into our marriage. Like we do not ever talk about or make big decisions when we're hungry or tired or both.
with the carnivore diet, that is like, instead of like, imagine like hungry,
Yeah.
tired, right? Or both. With the, it's like the, when you were hungry, you're just kind of like, I could eat.
Like, right. The difference now is the feeling of hungry is like, I should probably stop what I'm doing and go eat so I can get back to what I'm doing.
Sure.
Where before it was like this process, like going through a Rolodex. Okay, there's Taco Bell, Wendy's. What did I bring? What am I going to make for lunch next week? And it was just like this all consuming. This will actually lead into the time thing.
Sure.
But, but yeah, to get back to what you were saying specifically, I do not get hangry.
I think that was also like a huge positive effect. I think that is, to me, could be probably my number one most positive effect is the, not even the hangry, but the vicious feeling, hungry feeling you get from being hungry. It's like so wild. Like I just go through the fridge, through the cabins, everything, just trying to find something to eat, and it's never enough. That whole feeling is gone, and I can't just like, I'm so happy that that's just like the biggest thing for me.
And then piggybacking that feeling is also after satiety, you don't feel bloated and lethargic. So I came home the other night and I felt like I needed to eat more than my normal.
Sure.
So I took a nice steak down and then I threw 6 eggs on it.
Wow.
Right. And afterwards, I was done and I felt like I was satiated, but if I had come home and even just had like a normal bowl of pasta or something like that on a regular day, after I got done eating, I would just immediately feel bloated and full. And we talked about this.
Yeah, but it's fascinating to me because you're saying that because you said 6 eggs and a steak.
Yeah.
That's a lot of calories, right? If you eat the same amount of calories with like something that has a lot of carbs, like pasta,
No, yeah.
and bread and whatever else, it's gonna make you feel so done. Like you'll have the biggest like hangover, and I swear that has to be the insulin spike.
Right. I agree. I don't. I would talk about it like, especially the next day, I'd be like, oh my God, I got a food hangover.
Right? Right.
Like I ate too much pizza and too much salt. And I was like, oh.
That's what I'm saying. Now it's just even. That's
Yeah.
like, we're just even. Well, at least me personally, I have an even feeling. I don't have that hangry cravings anymore. Yeah. Anyways.
No, and it's two-sided because there's the mental side, whether you're overly aggravated or you get in that desperation mode and you just start eating with it. Okay. So there's that part. And then there's also the ravenous hunger that your body feels, right?
Yeah. The physical, exactly.
Right.
That physical pain almost.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what has happened is, in my experience, I don't get that weird mental part. And I see them separately now. Like they're two very distant things. There's the mental part, and then there's the physical part. And I never feel hungry. I notice when I need to eat, but I never feel hungry in my gut. And then after I eat a big meal or a small meal or a medium meal, I never feel full. Like, ugh. You're just like.
But yeah, I do feel done. It's I'm done. I'm good. I don't need it because like on anything that has carbs, it's almost, I'm never done. Like I'm full physically, but I still have that, I don't know, like desire for that pleasure in your mouth or
there's
whatever.
always room for pie.
Yeah, there's always room for pie. Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyways, all right, that's a huge benefit. The next one, time. How much time do you save now?
It's utterly ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous. I actually, if anybody does watch this video, comment down below if you want us to make some videos on what we're doing to save money and time. But like a whole week's worth of grocery shopping for me is like 15 minutes now.
Right? Just grocery shopping. You go get your meat, you go get your eggs. I'm done. I'm like, I just stroll around like, oh, that's a nice chair. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it literally takes me longer to park and get in and then, pay and get out than it does to do anything. I know right where to go. I know right what to get. And, the longest part of what I do now is flipping through the cuts to see the one that I want. Or the,
Right? Now we're just taking more time. Like, oh, I want this one. Oh, look at this one. This
Or-
one has a little more marbling or whatever.
the marbling and then the overall size. It's like, no, this one's like, 12 pounds. I think I just need a 9-pound.
Yeah, right.
I don't need one quite that big. So,
Okay, so another positive thing is, other than the time, is not really getting bored of it. Because that was a huge thing of people saying
I know.
it gets boring. But that's a huge positive. It never gets boring. My eggs that I eat, I don't eat eggs every day, like maybe every other day. Sometimes I go 4 days not eating eggs. Sometimes I eat eggs every day, right? Just kind of all over the place. And I don't get bored of the eggs. Eggs, and then steak. I eat not steak, but beef. I eat mostly beef, right? Other than the eggs, beef and eggs. It's kind of it. I also don't. I never get bored of beef. Like there's different cuts of beef, kind of. So you could. There's the like let's say the steak cut, and then there's like the cheap roast cut, and then there's the ground beef. Those are all very different. That's what kind of I found out. They're all very different. And some, you cook in a pressure cooker. Some you cook, in a barbecue. And that's kind of different flavor. But every time I could make some sort of roast, and I could eat that for 2 days straight, 3 times, times a day. And every single time, it's delicious.
right.
It's like mind-blowing how that works.
Yeah, I would agree. I was concerned that I would get bored, and I was surprised when I wasn't. And I mean, one of these days I'll post a picture or something of my old, like meal prepping days, and
Like the meal prepping, how tiresome is that? You basically cook for a week or whatever. You spend, half a day cooking. You pile everything in, which is, meal prepping is pretty good, when you're doing it. But meal prepping for the carnivore diet, it is just not the same.
It's
man.
no,
It is just simple. Anyways,
so then, like, just continuing on quickly with time savings, because you're not so hungry, and because
oh, that's right. There's benefits from that time saving.
well, right. So like,
There's cooking, right?
I spend less time cooking,
Shopping.
prepping, shopping. I spend less time eating. We talked about the bathroom, cleaning up. Absolutely. We talked about the bathroom instead of 4 times a day, once a day. Like, that's a huge amount of time savings. Like when you start adding all those little blips up together,
It adds up.
it's
It
a
adds
lot.
up, yeah.
And then when you're saving money on doing all of that, that money is your time too. That's how I look at it.
Sure.
So-
Absolutely, yeah. All right. Other positive effect. Like, let's get into the physical effects. I mean, we kind of got into the cravings, into the mental stability. And then there's another, like, it's kind of more almost a side effect. It's a very positive side effect, is the actual physical fat loss. That's like, here's the thing. People get into carnivore for that specifically. I would say if that's what you're doing carnivore for, you're doing it for the wrong reason, because that's just a side effect of being healthy. Your body goes to healthy. It said, this fat on me is very unhealthy. Let's get rid of it. I don't need it, and does what it does. And why it does, because I'm saying like body, right? There's this magical body that knows what to do. Why I say that? Because when you get down to a certain body fat percentage, it's done. It's not going to lose any more body fat as long as you're eating enough, right?
Right.
You're not starving yourself on carnivore. And again, we eat as much as we want. So I think huge positive is our body's going to a healthy state and it's losing a lot of fat. Like for me, 90 days, I lost 30 pounds.
I have not had nearly as much in my 90 days. I don't actually know what the number is exactly.
But it's close to that.
I forget what it is now. It's like 20 something.
Okay, yeah. It's very similar to my results. But I would say you probably lost more inches. Because for whatever reason, you were doing that low calorie diet right before this. You didn't really change much.
I know. I've heard that.
But when you started the carnivore, you didn't lose that much weight, 20 plus pounds, not on 25 pounds, say. But it's a night and day difference.
And
in how
even
you
before
look.
the 20 days, or the 20 pounds. Yeah, no, that was a very strange thing. It was this almost probably within the first month, I really started getting people's attention.
Like, what's going on?
What are you doing? And coworkers going in and seeing me, and they're like, "Oh my God, how much weight have you lost?" And I'm thinking to myself, "It was like
It's
only
10 pounds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. It wasn't even at that time. I don't think it was 10 pounds yet. It was like 6.
That's how it's fascinating because I think it's the inflammation, then it's the water retention from a high carb diet,
Right.
then no insulin in your system, which everything else.
But all of that stuff should actually equate to poundage. If you lose a bunch of water, you should lose a bunch of pounds.
But inflammation, I don't know.
I don't. Right. I don't actually have.
Because I hope you did the whole inches thing. Because around my stomach and waist,
I
lost 3.5 inches.
I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't buy the tape measure. I didn't have a tape measure. I'm not going to get a tape measure. What I can tell you is that I had a whole bunch of clothes that I couldn't fit anymore that I'm now wearing again.
Fantastic. Same, dude. And I love it.
So that was cool. I did have to buy a couple of new belts.
Okay.
And then, there's been some other positive effects that I definitely want to just touch on because we can deep dive into any one of these really.
Sure, absolutely, and be here for an hour.
Yeah, but some of the interesting things going back to COVID, I really lost my sense of smell after COVID, and that was really a thing for me. And I've gotten almost all of it back.
That's fascinating.
That's
that's
bizarre.
like a recovering your body. Like how?
Yeah. With the first 30 days, I started to realize that I have some sort of unnatural ability to be out in the sun now. I have no idea why. I've actually looked at seed oils, maybe this, and inflammation, maybe that. I don't know. All I know is that I've been out in the sun. I've been out in the sun for a long time. And I'm not saying that I cannot get sunburnt. It's not the claim here.
Okay.
But I know how much sun I could tolerate before. And it is dramatically more now. Dramatically more.
Interesting.
So before, just as a reference point so people could understand, there's a spot up here. It's really thin skin on the top of your scalp and where all the hair is it's not
thick.
Where all the hair that used to be there is not. So right up here would burn really fast. I could be out in moderate amounts of sun for as little as 30 minutes and get a nice burn right in those widow's peaks. Mm-hmm. And then the bridge of my gigantic nose.
Sure. Welcome to the club.
Right. And I have spent over 4 hours in the midday sun currently, and it's July, and I'm not burning.
So another huge positive effect.
Right. So the sense of smell, tolerance to the sun. I hear some people get that, some don't. I don't know what the difference is, or, and again, I'm not saying I'm immune. I've tanned up nicely. It's
sure.
So
I would say I would add another positive effect because during this whole 90 days that we've experienced so far, I never stopped learning about it, hearing from other people that went through this experience, learning about like nutrition and how our bodies absorb it differently, about insulin and how our bodies react to insulin. I haven't like this whole 90 days. I would say that's a huge positive. It's kind of a side effect. It's not
Yeah.
from the carnivore diet, but during it, I've also been like nonstop learning. And so far, it's been nothing but positive.
You know what's really interesting about the nutritional side of it that I never thought about like this before, but when I thought about it for real, it started to make sense. And that was, a long time ago in a former lifetime, I used to sell and work in a hydroponic store.
Okay.
And hydroponics was new-ish at that time. Not many people had seen about it, heard about it, and like, oh, what's the difference? And I'm like, well, just think about it this way. You have a sponge and you want it to absorb just anything, right? So you can either A, dip the sponge directly into the water and imagine how much water it'll absorb.
Sure.
Or you put that sponge and a whole bunch of dirt around it and you dip that in the water. And which sponge do you think's going to absorb better? And that's
Yeah, obviously
right.
a clean one.
So
Yeah.
that's how I explained hydroponics. And so as I started learning through these 90 days with you, that was something I realized about nutrition. And I remember all those reasons why I bought juicers to extract the fiber away from the,
Yeah.
you
I've
take all
done
the
that
fiber
too, yeah.
away from the vitamins that are in the plant. And then without the fiber to compete, you're able to absorb the nutrition
Absolutely.
better. So doesn't it make sense that if you take the fiber away, that your body absorbs all the nutrition better, whether it's from a plant or a meat or anything? So I think that's one of the biggest like aha moments for me was fiber is just bulk. There's no
Well, yeah, it's wood. It's literally wood. That's
Right.
what fiber is. It's sawdust, if you want to look at it that wood chips,
Yeah.
whatever. It's nothing. It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't help your body work better in any way. The only thing it does it slows down absorption of sugars. That's all it does, and because of that, it's healthy.
Yeah, and it slows down the absorption of, and you could literally put anything on the end of that.
Eat napkins. I mean, might as well eat napkins. That's fiber.
But I'm saying, it slows down the absorption of sugar. It also slows down the absorption of vitamins and protein. And
That's true. That's
that
true.
that that
Yeah,
that
that's
was
the
my
whole
point.
perfect sponge thing.
Right. That's my point is all that fiber does is just limit your access to the stuff and then bulk up your stools.
Anyways, that's a perfect little example of the positive. So we kind of covered a little bit of negatives, which are not really realistic. It's all made up because it's all social. The positives, huge. No, I can't ever like not realize how big of an effect this was on me, and seeing you on you. All this said, we're at 90 days now.
Yep.
Where are we going for you? Where are you going? What are we going to continue? Like, what am I going to continue next? Am I going to continue this? Because at first we kind of jumped in 90 days. We talked about 90 days.
Well, at first it was like 30 days.
30,
Because
yeah,
if
yeah.
I
Let's-
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
If I
Exactly.
couldn't go to the bathroom for 2 weeks, I was like, no, we're done.
Right. We're at 90 days. Then, yeah, we talked about 90 days. We're at 90 days. And I told myself, I don't know if I'm going to, like, maybe I'll integrate some fruit or something in 90 days, some carbs here and there. But for me personally, no, I'm done. This is it. Like, I don't see myself really going back to what I used to eat ever again from everything I experienced, everything I have learned, and yourself.
So for me, there's a large residual of my past, like left in, like 45 years, 90 days.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've been damaging your body for 45 years.
So, right now, I ask myself this every day. it's almost like when I was stopping drinking. It's like I'm probably just not going to eat carbohydrates today. I'm not promising forever.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe one day I'll wake up and it'll be 20 years like it's been for the alcohol. You know, but for me right now, I know that I don't want to go back to feeling the way I felt. I don't miss the anxiety and all that other stuff. Um, but there's a lot of history with me and Doritos. So I'm certainly continuing on. And I'm continuing on for a good, definite amount of time.
Well, because I'm so curious to see what happens next because I've had such huge results with this. And they were so easy too. It's not like you're struggling because like the typical eat healthy workout is a freaking struggle. And I've done it before.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. This is a breeze. I mean, there's little hard things here and there. Once you kind of get to the first 2 weeks would probably the hardest. Once you get through that, it's a breeze. Like the 90 days it was like, I'm thinking back, I'm like, dang, that was awesome. Right?
Yeah.
So I want to see where my body goes. And let's say at some point, I'm like, because I want to get to a certain body composition and stuff. When I'm there, I might integrate a little bit of fruit here and there. I mean, it's a little dangerous because you might kind of dive in too far. But we'll see. Here's the thing. You could always go back to this. It's always here.
Right.
There's nothing stopping you from going back. It's not like you're going to go all out, especially from all the knowledge we have learned.
All right. So one question for you,
Yeah.
and then I'll answer it too. If you had one tip to give somebody considering doing it to help make their life easier doing it, like we've covered all the, you're going to get better mental health, you might lose some weight, all these things. But as far as the actual doing it, do you have a tip that you want to share for anybody?
Dang, I should have prepared. One tip for, ask me that again.
Let me answer it. I'll tell you my answer.
Okay.
So I didn't do this on purpose, but this is what ended up happening with me. And this is my one tip that I would throw out to anybody out there looking at this as maybe they're going to do it. It is, do not try to do the carnivore diet and recreate your original diet. I see so many people go on a low carb diet and they have low carb tortillas and they do and they're literally trying to recreate their diet that they've always eaten. When I jumped into this, I decided I was going to learn how to eat carnivore from scratch. I wasn't going to try to make carnivore burgers. I didn't buy a waffle press so that I could make sandwiches. My recommendation to anybody who's trying this, starting this, or thinking about doing this is go into it and learn how to eat on a carnivore diet correctly. Eat the things that you want to eat or whatever, but don't try to recreate your lifestyle. I've seen a lot of people try to make carnivore bread.
I've tried a lot of that. I want to add to your thing. Keep it basic.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Keep it real simple and basic.
Yeah.
All that other stuff is unnecessary. There's no need for it whatsoever. It's kind of more of a look and like a brain mentality. Like you said, 45 years of it, right?
So to sum it up, it would be like, don't try to take your current diet, whatever you're eating, and figure out how to make all of that carnivore. Don't try to figure out how to make carnivore pizza and carnivore sandwiches and all. My best advice that I could offer to a new person just going into this is just approach this like you don't know anything and learn how to eat carnivore properly and kind of forget all that, just don't try to recreate your old diet carnivore.
You got to have to relearn almost.
Right, because I see that all the time. Low fat. Everybody wants to just, started with low fat in the 80s with me. And it's like all the same food, but now it's low fat. And then all the same food, but now it's gluten free. all the same food, but now it's keto. Don't do that. Learn how to do this by itself. Don't try to recreate your old diet, but make it carnivore.
I love it. I'm gonna add one thing, and it is nothing feels better than being healthy, and that's what this is. Yeah. You're gonna get on this. You're gonna do this. Get through the tough phases, and then you're gonna come to the epiphany where like nothing feels better, nothing tastes better.
Thank you. Yeah.
Than being healthy.
Feels. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing tastes better than how healthy feels.
Yeah. I agree.
So yeah. So anyways, with that,
thanks everybody.
I'm done. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do.
Comment below.
I guess until next time.